Nice job in this film.
Thank you.
You know, every once in a while I want to watch you on a film, and I don't say this about very many people, but you seem effortless, and I know it takes a lot of work to get to that point. But sometimes, do you feel in a groove when a scene's working? Is there a comfortability in what you do sometimes?
It's funny you say that because I've been thinking like, feeling like I want to experiment with pushing a little harder, and I think I did that in another film that I just did with Spike. I don't know if it's going to work, but I like to be relaxed and just listen. You know, I'm not much for a lot of theatrics, but I've been thinking like, let me get out of that groove. Right? Maybe I'm being too relaxed. Maybe I'm being too naturalistic, you know. But then again, I look at, you know, like an actor that I think, you know, was the greatest listener was Spencer Tracy. You know,
also effortless.
Effortless, because he was a great listener. So I said, no, I don't know if I can really affect what I do and try pushing. I can if I'm honestly listening, which I think he was the master at listening.
Isn't that an amazing process? Do you get scared at movies ever? Do you go to the movies enough to get scared? See something that just
I've looked
fries
at some
your
movies
hair
that scared the heck out of me. I've been in a couple that scared me.
but for the right reason.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen any horror movies lately.
Like you sit through The Exorcist and just...
The Exorcist was the reason I don't see any more horror movies.
I kept my lights on for 3 days.
Man, after that picture, I was like, I don't think I've seen a horror picture since The Exorcist.
I asked that because you're in one that's scary, and it has aspects of that kind of intelligent scariness to it, and that peculiarness to it. Do you know when you're scaring people when you're working? When you're in a scene?
No, you can't tell when you're building the film. It's hard to tell. I mean, there were certain kind of shock moments in the film where even when we shot it, it's like, oh, you know, and you knew what was supposed to happen, you know. But when you're building the film, you know how you're building the moment. You're doing it for the audience. So when I go back and I see it, I'm looking more at the execution. It's harder for it to shock me because I know what's coming.
You know too much.
I know too much, but in this film, it was still kind of freaky at the end of it anyway. Even though I knew how it was put together, you know, Greg came up with all those sounds and what we called what they call it, demon vision. You know, when he sort of twists the thing gets sideways, and then, you know, he did some really interesting things.
Demon POVs.
Demon POVs, right.
Yeah.
And he would shoot it at different frames and different kinds of exposures. It was just really interesting cinematic stuff that Tom Siegel did.
Take a minute, and I want to explore something about acting with you. It's a little more introspective, but if you didn't make a dime doing this, if you take away any sense of income or publicity or notoriety about what you do, and it just gets down to the moment of doing it, what do you really love about acting?
There was a song I heard Johnny Mathis did called The Hungry Years. It says, I miss the hungry years, the once upon a time, the not so long ago I didn't have a dime, you know, and it's good now. It's great now. It was better then because that's all you had. You know, not just because you have money or fame now, but you have family, you have other responsibilities. But when I started acting in college, that's all I had. That's all I had to think about. I mean, I remember I did The Emperor Jones, and even when I did Othello, like my second play that I ever done was like I played the lead, Othello. And I remember I lived on 93rd Street in the schools. I went to school at Lincoln Center, and I would walk home, you know, half-hour, 45-minute walk, but I would just do my lines, you know, and I'd get home and I'd work on it more. I'd be working like 4 and 5 and 6 hours. Then I'd do my lines coming back to school. Then I'd walk around the theater, and I'd just do lines and then work on the part, and I'd walk up and down the sets. And I don't have that level of commitment. I don't have that time either. I don't have that focus. It's impossible because people are pulling me, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Then nobody cared. I could walk from 66 to 93rd Street. It was easier to watch than to be watched. That's the as an actor, for me, the toughest part of celebrity is now you're the one being watched. And what I like to do as an actor is watch. That's where I get it from. You know, you sit in a corner somewhere and you look at people and you understand, you recognize behavior, and you say, oh, I got that moment, I'm going to use that. I see, you know, it's harder to do that now.
Nice job.
Hey,
Always
okay.
nice to see you.
My pleasure.